My beloved child, listen to this as a whisper that carries the full weight of truth. The purity I have placed within you is not threatened by the noise of the world, but it can be diminished by the slightest negligence within your own heart. Darkness does not always arrive through violent storms. Often, it slips in through openings that seem harmless, a thought left unexamined, a word spoken without awareness, a delayed step when you have already heard the call clearly. As it is written, guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. Do you see, then, that life is not only lost through great failures, but can quietly leak away through what appears small and insignificant? My beloved child, do not withdraw as though you must hide from the darkness, but stand firm as one entrusted to tend the flame, a fire not meant for display, but to sustain life through the long night. I do not call you to live in fear, I call you to live in watchfulness. There are seasons when the flame within you no longer burns brightly, but remains as glowing embers. And it is in those very moments that your faithfulness is most clearly tested. It is not when you feel strong that vigilance is most necessary, but when you feel weak, when your emotions settle, when everything seems quiet, that is, when you must draw closer to me than ever before. As it is written, watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. Matthew 26:41. For watchfulness is not a momentary state, but a continuous rhythm of your soul. My child, a flame does not sustain itself. It requires oil, shelter, and care. In the same way, what I have placed within you will not endure if you neglect it. When you add oil through prayer, you are nourishing life from a source that never runs dry. When you shield it with discernment, you are protecting what is sacred from unseen winds. And when you obey without delay, you rekindle the flame before it has the chance to fade. Do not let hesitation become the space through which darkness enters. For as it is written, do not quench the spirit. 1 Thessalonians 5:19. This is not a distant reminder, but a daily principle of living. Every choice, every response, every thought has the power to either strengthen or weaken the flame. Remember the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. The wise not only carried their lamps, but also brought extra oil. The foolish took their lamps, but failed to prepare enough oil. And as the night grew long, their lamps began to go out. When the moment came, they could not borrow what they had not prepared beforehand. Matthew 25:1-13. Do you see? Then, that preparation cannot be borrowed in an instant. It is built in ordinary days, in unseen moments. And it is that quiet preparation that determines whether you will stand firm when the appointed time arrives. Therefore, do not wait until you feel empty to seek me again. And do not delay caring for your soul until everything begins to weaken. What is sacred does not align with delay, for delay disrupts the rhythm I am leading you in. When you sense my prompting, respond at once, whether it is a small prayer, a gentle correction, or a simple act of obedience. These small acts, done in their proper time, will keep the flame within you alive and steadfast. My beloved child, I do not require you to burn brightly at all times, but I do call you to remain faithful. A flame may rise and fall, yet if you do not abandon it, it will not go out. And when you learn to tend the fire through the long nights, you will no longer fear the darkness, for you will know that the light is still there, even if it is only a small spark. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Therefore, hold fast to the flame I have placed within you, not through pressure, but through love, not through fear, but through watchfulness, When you live in this way, you will begin to see that I am not only teaching you how to keep the fire, but how to become a bearer of it, a person who can walk through the night without losing the light, and even pass that light on to those who are still walking in darkness. My beloved child, allow me to realign the way you understand discipline, for many have misunderstood it, and, in doing so, have deprived themselves of true joy. I do not set discipline as chains to bind you, but as a fence surrounding a precious garden where the most beautiful things within you are protected so they can grow to their fullness. Without that fence, the garden would be trampled, invaded, and the tender shoots would never take root. In the same way, if your life lacks discipline, the joy you experience will become shallow, easily gained and easily lost. But when you learn to guard yourself, that joy becomes deep, enduring, and filled with lasting life. As it is written, "Blessed is the one who delights in the law of the Lord. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water." Psalm 1, 2, 3. You see, stability is always joined to right guidance. My child, a disciplined person is not one who is restricted, but one who has discovered depth. They do not chase everything that brings momentary pleasure, but choose what sustains them along the journey. They know how to pause and enjoy, yet not so long that they lose their direction. They know how to smile, yet do not allow joy to make them forget the reason they were placed on this earth. They rest, yet do not allow rest to become stagnation. As it is written, "I have the right to do anything." You say, but not everything is beneficial. 1 Corinthians 10:23. What I desire for you to learn is not rigid self-denial, but discernment, the ability to recognize what nourishes your soul and what drains it. Remember the example of Paul, who compared his life to that of an athlete in a race. He said that he disciplines his body and brings it under control so that he would not be disqualified. 1 Corinthians 9:27. He did not speak this as a burden, but as a conscious choice, a decision to remain within the course that had been set before him. Do you see? Then, that discipline is not against you, but stands in favor of your future. It keeps you from being scattered, from being drawn into what is temporary at the cost of what is eternal. My beloved child, I do not desire for you to live a dry and constrained life, nor do I want you to drift aimlessly, led by fleeting emotions. I desire for you to live deeply, a life with roots, with a firm foundation, and with clear direction. Discipline is the path that leads you into that depth. When you learn to say no to what is unnecessary, you are saying yes to what is more valuable. When you refuse distraction, you are preserving focus. When you adjust a small habit, you are shaping a greater future. Therefore, do not fear discipline, nor avoid it. Embrace it as a faithful companion, not because it is always comfortable, but because it protects what I have placed within you. When you live in discipline, you will discover this. Your joy will no longer depend on circumstances, but will be anchored in a firm foundation. And when joy is rooted, it will not be shaken by outward changes. My beloved, let your heart remain gentle yet steadfast. Let discipline not weigh you down, but set you free in the truest sense, free to choose what is good, free to preserve what is sacred, free from being pulled away by anything outside of my will. And in that freedom, you will not merely exist, you will flourish, like a well-tended garden, where every flower carries the fragrance of the life I placed within you from the beginning. Remember the story of Daniel, who lived in a court full of temptation, yet kept his heart pure. No one forced him to maintain his habit of prayer, and no one stood beside him constantly to remind him. Yet he established within himself an unshakable discipline. Each day, 3 times, he knelt and turned toward the one he trusted, despite the threat of dangerous decrees. And it was his faithfulness in those consistent, quiet moments that became the foundation for a great miracle when he was thrown into the lion's den. My presence shut their mouths. Do you see? Victory did not begin in the lion's den. It was formed in unseen moments long before. Therefore, do not underestimate the small details of your life. A careless word can shift the direction of your heart. A neglected thought can dim your light. A delay in obedience can cause you to miss the timing I have set. But when you remain watchful in the small things, you will stand firm in the greater ones. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. Growth does not come from isolated moments of brilliance, but from consistent faithfulness in the simple things, repeated each day. Keep your heart light. Do not let burdens harden you, yet at the same time, let your steps remain steady, unmoved by shifting winds. Let your soul stay tender in love, but let your spine remain firm, unbent by pressure. Let your eyes shine with hope, but do not allow the brightness of success to make you forget the true source of light. For when you place me in my rightful position within your heart, you will no longer fear losing anything, nor will you be governed by the opinions of others. As it is written, if God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. In time, you will come to realize that what I am teaching you is not restriction, but a deeper form of freedom, a freedom that is not the ability to do whatever you desire, but the capacity to choose what is right without being torn within. In that place, you will no longer tremble before mistakes, for you have learned the way. You will no longer be unsettled by loss, for you have learned how to guard what is entrusted to you. You will no longer be governed by people, for your foundation has been set in me, and in that state, your soul becomes steadfast like a fortress, yet remains gentle, like water flowing under my guidance. My beloved child, engrave this deeply within your soul. The one who keeps what is sacred is not the one who has never stumbled, but the one who does not remain in misalignment. The difference does not lie in whether you err, but in how you respond when the light reveals your path. When you recognize that you have strayed and immediately turn back, you honor what I have placed within you more than any outward display of perfection ever could. As it is written, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Proverbs 24:16. Your stability does not come from never falling, but from always knowing how to return. There are small missteps that may seem insignificant, yet if ignored, they quietly accumulate and draw you further away from union with me. An uncorrected thought, an unchecked reaction, a delayed act of obedience. These are slight deviations that can become great distances if you do not pause in time. Therefore, I teach you spiritual sensitivity to discern when to stop and realign, and when to move forward with courage. As it is written, let us examine our ways. Lamentation 3, Quran. This is not a call to heavy self-condemnation, but to watchfulness that keeps you aligned with the right path. Remember Peter, who stepped out of the boat to walk on the water toward me. When his eyes were fixed on me, he walked in what was impossible, but when he looked at the wind and the waves, he began to sink. Yet the moment he cried out, I reached for him and lifted him up. Matthew 14:29-31. Do you see? What sustained him was not perfection in every step, but his return to me the moment he realized he was sinking. I did not stand at a distance to observe his failure. I was there to lift him. This is the covenant between you and me, a covenant of continual return. My beloved, the one who keeps what is sacred does not allow great distance to grow from small things. They do not delay correction, nor justify misalignment. They possess the humility to recognize and the courage to adjust. They are not afraid to pause when needed, for they understand that stopping to realign is better than continuing in error. And once the direction is restored, they move forward with steadiness, without hesitation, without looking back in regret. As it is written, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. Philippians 3:13. I do not seek from you a flawless image without blemish. I seek a heart that listens, a heart that remains soft before my leading. When you live this way, you will not be bound by the fear of making mistakes, nor slowed by the weight of guilt. Instead, you will live within the flow of continual refinement, a current that shapes you more and more into my likeness. And in that process, your true strength is formed, not the strength of never stumbling, but the strength of always rising rightly. Therefore, do not fear the moments when you realize you are wrong. Fear instead the moment when you no longer desire to return. For as long as you keep returning, you remain within the covenant, still moving in the current of grace. And the one who knows how to guard, how to correct, how to obey, that is the one who is steady enough to carry the blessings I have prepared, not because they are worthy by the world's measure, but because they have learned to remain in the right place, at the right time, and in the right rhythm with me. My beloved, walk with this confidence. You do not need to be perfect to be used by me, but you must be faithful to keep returning. And as you live within that rhythm of returning, you will not only preserve what is sacred, you will become a bearer of it, carrying it farther, deeper, and more firmly through every season I lead you in. Therefore, walk in watchfulness, but without anxiety. Live with discipline, but without heaviness. Guard what is sacred within you with love, not with fear. When you learn this rhythm, you will discover that I am not taking away your freedom, but leading you into a higher kind of freedom, one in which you are no longer pulled by anything outside of my will. And in that freedom, you will stand firm, carry the light, and become a keeper of the treasure I have entrusted into your hands. My beloved child, once you have learned to stand firm in stillness and to keep yourself in discipline, I do not leave you there as an isolated island. I draw you into something deeper unity, where individual pieces are gathered into a living flow of purpose. You were not created to carry the entire picture alone. You were placed within a body, where every part depends on the others to fully reflect my intention. As it is written, the body is one, though it has many parts, and all its many parts form one body. 1 Corinthians 12:12. You no longer need to compete for position or fear losing your place, for your portion has already been set in my wisdom. My beloved, let this truth sink into every layer of your soul. What I call covenant is not merely a spoken promise left behind, but a living union between purpose and life, between heaven and your heart. When you enter into that covenant, you do not simply carry my name as an outward label. My very heartbeat begins to shape your rhythm, and my breath moves through your decisions, your steps, and even your smallest responses. As it is written, I live, yet not I, but Christ lives in me. Galatians 2:20. This union is not an idea, it is a reality that operates from within. My child, when you are truly united with me, you no longer live by your own strength or reasoning, but begin to move within a flow you could never create on your own. This does not take away who you are, it brings you into alignment with the true identity I placed within you from the beginning. And from that place of union, I begin to lead you into connections that are not random people who carry the same spiritual frequency, the same vision, the same longing for me. Alone, you may accomplish a portion, but in true unity, You step into a principle that surpasses human logic. As it is written, one can chase 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. Deuteronomy 32:30. This is not natural arithmetic, but the overflow of power that comes through agreement. Do you see? When two souls align toward me, the increase is not additive, but multiplied by the principle of the kingdom. This is where my intention finds agreement on earth, and heaven responds with a multiplication that cannot be explained by human understanding. Remember Joshua when he stood before Jericho. The victory did not come through conventional military strategy, but through collective obedience. The people walked together, kept silent together, and shouted together at the appointed moment. Joshua 6. If even one had broken the rhythm, it would have been disrupted. But when all were aligned, the fortified walls fell without a single sword being lifted. Do you see? Power does not lie in isolated action, but in unity, aligned at the right time and in the right direction. Therefore, do not take lightly the connections I place in your life. They are not merely encounters, but intersections of purpose. When you learn first to be aligned with me, you will know how to be aligned with others in the right way, not out of self-interest, not out of fleeting emotion, but out of resonance with what I am doing. And when that unity is established, you will see that what once felt difficult becomes lighter. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open, and your steps carry a momentum you do not have to strain to produce. My beloved, keep your heart humble in this, for true unity always requires you to lay down the self. Yet understand this, in doing so, you do not lose your value. You step into a place where your value is amplified within a greater whole. As it is written, in humility, consider others more significant than yourselves. Philippians 2-3. Not so that you diminish yourself, but so that you may be rightly joined into the flow of the kingdom. And when you live in that unity with me and with those I have placed around you, you will come to a profound realization. You no longer need to strive to accomplish something great, because your life itself has become part of something great. Every step, every word, every action carries the weight of heaven, not because you exalt yourself, but because you have entered into the source of all power. Therefore, walk in this covenant with awareness and trust. Do not merely hold it as a promise, but live within it as a living current. And as you do, you will see that what I have spoken is not only words, but life in motion, a life that multiplies, expands, and reveals my glory through your life and through those who are joined with you. But do not misunderstand. Unity does not mean becoming identical to others. I do not create copies. I create distinct parts that move in harmony. Unity is not uniformity, but alignment. Not everyone does the same thing, yet all move toward the same source, like different instruments in a symphony, each with its own tone, yet together forming a complete melody. So is your life when you stand in your rightful place. You do not need to overshadow anyone, nor shrink yourself. You simply remain faithful to the part I have entrusted to you, and your sound will naturally blend into the greater composition I am writing. Remember the story of Ezekiel when he was led into the valley of dry bones. When I spoke, those scattered bones began to come together, each piece returning to its rightful place. Sinews formed, flesh covered them, and finally the breath of life entered, raising up a vast army. Ezekiel 37. Do you see? Before there can be fullness of life, there must be right connection. Scattered parts cannot live on their own, but when they are restored into unity according to my will, they become a force that cannot be restrained. In the same way, you and those I place around you are not there by chance. Every encounter, every connection is part of the design I am bringing to fulfillment. Therefore, do not seek isolated prominence, nor fear being overshadowed when you stand with others. In the covenant of unity, blessing does not come from being above others, but from flowing in the right current. When you are within that current, you will find that what belongs to you cannot be taken away, and what does not belong to you cannot remain. As it is written, "How good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity." Psalm 133, 1. For where there is unity, I command the blessing, not in part, but life everlasting. My beloved, when your heart begins to move in rhythm with my source, you will discover something remarkable. You no longer need to strain to make things happen. My current will carry you, guide you, and open the way before you. The right doors will open on their own. The right connections will form naturally, and your steps will become both light and powerful, not because you have grown stronger by the world's standards. Clinical, because you have learned to abide in unity with the true source of strength. Keep your heart humble in this, for unity requires you to surrender the part of the self that seeks to stand apart and become great on its own terms. Yet when you release that, you do not lose your value. You are positioned where your value is multiplied. As it is written, in humility consider others more significant than yourselves. Philippians 2-3. Not to diminish yourself, but to step into harmony where every part is honored in its rightful place. And then, you will come to understand that this unity is not merely a strategy, but the very nature of my kingdom. When you walk in it, you no longer live as an isolated individual striving to survive, but as a part of a living body moving in one rhythm. In that place, heaven will no longer feel distant, but like a current flowing within you, and within that current, all things will find their rightful place, not through force, but through natural harmony. Therefore, step into this covenant with an open heart, with trust, and with a willingness to be joined in unity. For when you truly align with the source and with those I have placed around you, you will no longer question whether you are enough. You will know that in me, and in my unity, you are always in the right place, at the right time, and fully equipped to accomplish what I have ordained. My beloved child, let me open the eyes of your heart to see a deeper principle that many have overlooked. True acceleration is not born from separating yourself from others, but from learning to align yourself rightly within the flow I have established. A soul that stands alone may move quickly for a short distance, but will grow weary when the journey is long. Yet a soul that knows unity is lifted by a force it could never generate on its own. As it is written, two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. Do you see? From the beginning, I have embedded within the order of life this principle. Mutual support is the wind that carries you farther. Imagine a kite soaring in the sky. It does not create the wind, but learns to yield to it in order to rise. So it is with your soul. When you learn to lay down the isolated self, you are not diminished, but opened into a new space where we is formed. And within that we, the mission begins to accelerate. I do not pour speed into those who strive to do everything alone, but I release rhythm and increase to those who know how to move together, to listen, and to adjust themselves in harmony with those I have placed beside them. As it is written, be of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one purpose. Philippians 2:2. This is not merely advice, it is the key that unlocks the flow of power. My beloved, pause for a moment and observe your own body, for within it I have already placed a profound lesson on how the kingdom operates. No part lives in isolation. and no part is sufficient to replace the whole. Life does not reside in a single point, but in the harmony of many parts, each remaining faithful to its function. As it is written, the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. 1 Corinthians 12, 21, 22. What you perceive as small is not meaningless, and what you consider weak may in fact be the very foundation that holds the whole body together. My child, I did not create you to become a copy of anyone else. When you strive to be like another, you not only lose your freedom, but you also disrupt the rhythm I have designed for you. If every part were the same, the body would lose its balance. You are not called to fill another space, nor to carry what does not belong to you. What I require of you is not perfection by human standards, but faithfulness to the portion I have entrusted to you. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. When you remain true to your part, you are contributing to something far greater than what you can see. Remember Bezalel, the craftsman I chose to build the tabernacle. He was not the leader of the people, nor a prophet with a loud voice. Yet I filled him with my spirit, so that he would have skill in every detail, from engraving and weaving to working with gold and silver. Exodus 31. His work did not stand in the spotlight like others, but without him, the dwelling place of my presence would not have been completed as it should. Do you see? There are roles that do not stand at the front, yet they carry essential value within my plan. Therefore, do not diminish your place, nor compare your journey with those around you. When you compare, you begin to step out of your true position. But when you accept and remain faithful to what I have given you, you align yourself with the right current of the kingdom. And when each part moves in its proper rhythm, the whole body advances with a living strength that no single part could produce on its own. My beloved, there will be times when you feel that you are not enough, not prominent, or not as important as others. But I tell you this, life does not depend on the most visible part, but on the faithfulness of every part. A heart is not loud, yet if it stops beating, the whole body ceases. In the same way, your part may not always be seen, but when you hold it with faithfulness, you are sustaining the life of what I am building. As it is written, we are members of one another. Ephesians 4:25. So when you stand in your rightful place, you do not live for yourself alone, but for the whole body. And when the body functions together, the world will see my image, not through a single individual, but through the unity of many distinct parts. Therefore, be at peace in your position. Do not strive to become someone else, and do not abandon the place I have given you simply because you have not yet seen its full value. Remain faithful to your part, whether it seems small, unseen, or unrecognized, for in that faithfulness, you are contributing to something complete, where every part works together to reveal my life. And when you understand this, you will no longer be driven by comparison or the pressure to become someone else. You will stand firm, fulfill your portion, and trust that when each part does its part, the whole body will move with a life that cannot be restrained. This is how I reveal my glory through a unified body, where every part, including you, is irreplaceable. Remember Nehemiah, who was sent to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. He did not construct the entire wall by himself, nor did he assign the task to a small group alone, but divided the work among families and groups, each building a section directly before their own home. Craftsmen, priests, merchants, though different, each contributed to the same purpose, and because every person fulfilled their part, the wall was rebuilt swiftly, despite opposition. Do you see? Miracles do not occur only through great acts, but through the coordinated effort of many small parts, each faithful in their place. This is how my kingdom operates, not through a single individual, but through a unified body. Therefore, do not seek to become like others in order to feel valuable, nor compare your portion with that of those beside you. When you do this, you separate yourself from the flow I have established. But when you accept your place and fulfill your role with faithfulness, you align yourself with the rhythm of the kingdom. And when that rhythm is maintained, the whole system begins to move with a force that no individual could ever generate alone. Then you will witness something remarkable. Blessing will no longer be something you strive to obtain, but a natural current that flows when every part is set in its proper place. As it is written, the Lord commands the blessing where there is unity. Psalm 133:3. My beloved, keep your heart humble in this process, for unity requires you to lay down the need to prove yourself in your own way. Yet understand this clearly: when you lay down the self, you do not lose your value. You are positioned where your value is amplified. A small gear, when it turns in proper rhythm within a machine, contributes to the movement of the entire system. But if it turns out of alignment, no matter how strong it is, it disrupts the whole mechanism. Therefore, what matters is not how great you are, but whether you are in the right place and moving in the right rhythm. And there will come a time when you and those I have placed beside you move together in harmony. The world will not only hear about me through your words, but will see me through the way you live, the way you love, and the way you walk in unity. As it is written, that they may all be one, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. John 17:21. This is the true mission, not merely to convey information, but to reveal my nature through a living body, where each part reflects my light. Therefore, walk with this awareness: you are not alone, and you are not required to do everything by yourself. Seek the right people, remain in the right position, and be faithful to your portion. When you do this, you will discover that the acceleration you seek does not come from striving harder, but from aligning rightly. And in that unity, you will not only go farther, you will go rightly, go deeper, and move within the unstoppable flow of my kingdom. My beloved child, let this truth settle into the deepest layers of your soul. When I call you into covenant, I do not merely extend my hands to give you good things, but I also place into your hands something sacred that must be guarded. For blessing, if it is not enclosed by responsibility, will fade like mist under the sun, and responsibility, if separated from love, will become heavy and lifeless like dry ground. I do not call you to live in the imbalance of one side or the other, but invite you into their union where love becomes the motivation, and responsibility becomes the boundary that protects what is precious. My child, understand that in my kingdom, nothing is small when it is done in faithfulness. The actions you may consider simple: a gentle word, a quiet act of obedience, a right decision made in a moment unseen, each carries a weight beyond what your eyes can measure. As it is written, whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. What I look at is not the size of the act, but the heart and the consistency you bring to every detail. Remember the widow who offered 2 small coins in the temple. Others gave more, but I saw in her something greater, a whole heart, an offering that held nothing back. Luke 21:1-4. Do you see? Value in my eyes is not measured by quantity, but by the union of love and responsibility. When you do a small thing with great love, you are operating within the principle of the kingdom. Therefore, do not take lightly what I entrust to you, whether it is a small opportunity, a simple connection, or a task that seems insignificant. Each of these is a part of the covenant, and within that covenant, you are invited to guard, to nurture, and to develop what has been given. When you do this in love, responsibility no longer feels like a burden, and when you carry responsibility with faithfulness, love is no longer a fleeting emotion. My beloved, learn to live within this sacred balance. Do not allow your love to become vague and without foundation, nor let your responsibility become rigid and without warmth. When these two are woven together, your life will become both steady and alive, firm in principle, yet tender in heart. And as you walk in this way, you will begin to realize that I am not only blessing you, but in trusting you, I place into your hands things of eternal value, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to learn how to steward them. When you are faithful in the small things, I will expand what is greater. When you guard what you have, I will add what you have not yet seen. So, my beloved, walk with this awareness. Everything you do carries meaning. Every choice you make shapes direction. And every moment you live in love and responsibility contributes to something far beyond your present life. And in that union, you will not only preserve the blessing, you will become a bearer of blessing to others. In my glory, in this covenant, I do not stand apart to observe you. I am united with you in every rhythm of your life. When you are weak, I do not turn away. I take hold of that weakness to lift you. When you stumble, I do not condemn. I bend down to raise you up. When you choose to forgive while your heart still aches, I am present in that very moment. For as it is written, abide in me, and I in you, John 15:4. This unity is not a distant idea, but a living reality where every emotion, every decision of yours reaches me, and I respond not with distance, but with presence. But my child, understand this clearly. A true covenant never comes without a cost. No bond carries power unless it is sealed with sacrifice. From the beginning, every covenant has been established through blood, not to instill fear, but to affirm that it cannot be broken by temporary change. As it is written, this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, Matthew 26:28. I myself have paid the price to open the way for you. Therefore, if you desire to walk in true unity and power, you must be willing to lay down the self, not out of compulsion, but because you come to see that the self alone cannot carry you far. Remember the story of Jonathan and David, a friendship forged in deep covenant. Jonathan, though the son of King Saul, recognized the calling upon David and did not contend for position, nor hold back what he possessed, but willingly gave his robe, his sword, and his honor to the one I had chosen. 1 Samuel 18. This was not loss, but alignment with my purpose. And because of that sacrifice, their bond became one of the clearest expressions of covenant love, a love not built on personal gain, but on a steadfast commitment to uphold what I had ordained. My beloved child, do not allow familiarity to keep you bound when I am calling you to step beyond the circle of safety you have built for yourself. What you call safety is often merely a repetition of limitation, while what I have prepared for you lies on the other side of courage. The acceleration your soul longs for does not come from doing more within the same old framework, but from stepping beyond yourself, beyond old patterns of thinking, and operating into the current I am initiating. As it is written, forgetting what lies behind and pressing toward what is ahead, Philippians 3:13. For what is ahead cannot be grasped if you continue to cling to what is behind. My child, when you step out, you will discover that I never call you to walk alone. I always place beside you those who carry the same rhythm, the same direction, the same longing for me. And when you truly unite with them, You will come to understand something you had not seen before. Strength no longer rests in your individual ability, but in the harmony of hearts joined together. As it is written, bear one another's burdens, Galatians 6:2. For when you share, you do not lose your portion. You are lifted by a force greater than yourself. Remember when I sent my disciples out 2 by 2, I did not send them alone, though each carried a unique gift, but I placed them in partnership so they would learn to rely on one another, to support one another, and to move together. And within that companionship, they encountered a depth of power that could not have been fully understood alone. Do you see? My kingdom is not built upon isolated individuals, but upon hearts that know how to move in unity and in rhythm. My beloved, I know there are times when you hesitate to step out, not because you are unwilling, but because you are not yet accustomed to allowing others into your journey. But understand this, when you keep everything to yourself, you also limit what I can do through you. When you open your heart to connect, to walk together, to share, you create space for grace to multiply. As it is written, 2 are better than 1 if one falls. The other will lift him up, Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. This is not merely help, it is the preservation of your journey. Therefore, do not fear when I lead you into new connections, new steps, and new challenges. Do not measure by your own strength, for I am not asking you to accomplish everything by yourself. I am asking you to step in, to unite, and to trust. When you do, you will find that strength is no longer something you must produce. It is something you enter into. My beloved, be courageous to step beyond what is familiar. Set your foot into what is new that I am opening before you. Learn to walk with others without fearing the loss of yourself. For you will not be diminished, you will be expanded. And as you move in that shared rhythm, you will come to understand that true acceleration is not about moving faster, but about being carried by a current greater than yourself. And within that current, you will no longer grow weary from striving, no longer feel alone from carrying everything by yourself, but you will be upheld, strengthened, and led farther than you have ever imagined. For this is how I work, not through your own strength, but through unity in me, where every burden is shared, and every step is made stronger through love and grace. My beloved, look at how I have moved in your life. I do not love you because you are perfect, but because you belong to me. And within this covenant, every action of yours a word of forgiveness, a step of obedience, a quiet act of sacrifice carries eternal value. Nothing is meaningless when it is done in covenant love. As it is written, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, Colossians 3:23. For even the smallest thing, when placed in me, becomes part of an eternal purpose. When you begin to live with this awareness, you will witness a deep transformation. The ordinary things in your life will no longer be ordinary. Simple steps, quiet words, unseen actions, all will begin to carry the breath of the miraculous. Not because you have entirely changed, but because you have aligned with my rhythm. And as you walk with those I have connected to you, that rhythm will expand, forming a current that no force can restrain. Therefore, walk in this covenant with courage and humility. Do not seek ease, seek unity. Do not cling to comfort, cling to me. For when you are truly aligned with me and with those I have placed beside you, you will understand that the pace of heaven is not determined by how fast you run, but by whether you move in the right rhythm. And within that rhythm, you will not only move forward, you will be carried within the flow of glory, where everything I have promised begins to take shape as living reality in your life. My beloved child, do not let hesitation hold you back when I open before you. New connections, new people, new doors, new spaces that may seem beyond your reach. I never lead you into a place where I do not walk with you, nor do I place you into anything beyond the grace I have already prepared. I know your limits, for I have woven you, and I am also the one who expands those limits as you walk in trust. As it is written, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. What you see as lack, I see as the place where my fullness will be revealed. Understand this: the covenant I bring you into does not dissolve you into the crowd, nor erase the identity I have placed within you. On the contrary, it makes you clearer, purer, and more rightly positioned. When you stand alone, you see only a portion of the light, but when you stand among those who are also chosen, the light within you meets the light within them, and what is formed is not competition, but increase. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:14-16. Light is not given to be hidden, but to join together and shine with greater strength. My child, remember the story of Elijah when he believed himself to be alone among a generation that had turned away. He said he was the only one left who remained faithful. Yet I answered that I had preserved 7,000 who had not bowed to Baal. 1 Kings 19:18. Do you see? At times you may feel isolated simply because you have not yet seen those I have prepared. When I begin to connect you with them, it is not coincidence, it is revelation, so that you may recognize you belong to something greater than yourself. And when you step into that unity, isolation dissolves, and strength is revealed. Do not be afraid when you feel small within greater relationships. It is in that very environment that you will learn to stand not by the self, but by the true identity I have placed within you. You do not need to strive to prove your worth, for your value does not come from standing above others, but from reflecting the light I have given you. When you understand this, you will no longer compare, nor will you withdraw. You will simply be who you are, and that will be enough for your light to shine as it should. As it is written, if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. 1 John 1-7. This fellowship is not merely outward closeness, but unity within the same source of light. And when light meets light, darkness cannot remain, not because you strive to drive it away, but because it is the nature of light to dispel darkness. This is the power I have placed within unity, a power that is not loud, yet cannot be resisted. Therefore, my beloved, open your heart when I lead you into new connections. Do not measure yourself by what the natural eye sees, but look with faith to discern what I am doing. I do not bring you into relationships to cause you to lose yourself, but to make you more complete within the greater picture I am forming. When you stand among those I have chosen, you will not fade, you will shine more brightly. Not because you grow according to the world's standards, but because the light within you has found resonance. And within that resonance, you will witness what you could never produce on your own: a spreading strength, a flowing life, a rising light that leaves no place for darkness to remain. This is my glory revealed through unity and grace. And as you walk in it, you will no longer fear great connections. You will recognize that through them, I am lifting you into what I have ordained from the beginning. My beloved child, listen with your whole soul, for what I am about to do is not a small, isolated movement, but a wave rising from my own heart, and you are not outside of it. I am gathering those who have been called, not merely to speak the right words, but to carry true presence. For words may travel far, but only presence transforms. As it is written, The kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power. 1 Corinthians 4:20. I am not seeking eloquent voices. I am seeking hearts willing to become a dwelling place for me. Understand this, my child. The generation I am preparing will not walk as isolated individuals, each pursuing their own path, but as a body moving in one rhythm. They will not compete for position, because they understand that position is not something to grasp, but a place from which to serve. They will not seek to seize power, for they recognize that true authority flows from alignment and right submission. As it is written, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:26. So greatness in my kingdom is not measured by how high you stand above others, but by how many you are willing to lift up. My beloved, I am not building human-controlled empires, places where the self is exalted and reputation is guarded. I am establishing my kingdom, where all things return to me, and every part is set in its rightful place within unity. When you and those I place beside you learn to make room for one another in the light, not striving, not overshadowing, but honoring and lifting one another, then something profound will happen. My presence will find a place to dwell. As it is written, the Lord inhabits the praises of his people. Psalm 22:3. And where true unity exists, that place becomes a throne for my presence. Remember the early church, when the disciples were together with one heart and one mind in the upper room. They did not argue over who was greater, nor seek to assert themselves, but waited in unity and humility. And in that environment, the Spirit came like fire. And from that moment, a movement began that shook the world. Acts 2. Do you see? The heavens did not open because of a single individual, but because of a united people. The outpouring did not come from isolated effort, but from unity at the appointed time. Therefore, do not see this wave as something distant, nor think that you are too small to take part. A wave is not formed by a single drop, but by countless drops moving in one direction. When you are positioned rightly and move in rhythm with those I am gathering, you become an essential part of what I am doing. As it is written, we are co-workers with God. 1 Corinthians 3-9. So, you are not merely an observer, you are a participant. My beloved, when I see hearts that are united, humble, and willing to yield to one another, my heart rejoices, for I have found a place where I may dwell. I do not abide in pride, nor in division, but in humility and unity. And when I find such a place, I withhold nothing. I open the storehouses of heaven and pour out life, wisdom, and power that cannot be produced by human effort. As it is written, open your mouth wide, and I will fill it. Psalm 81:10. Yet that fullness comes only when your heart is opened in the right way. Therefore, prepare your heart. Do not cling to the need to be seen. Seek my presence. Do not strive to build something for yourself. Offer your life so that I may build through you. Learn to stand with others without fearing that you will fade. For true light is never diminished when it is shared. It only shines more brightly. When you step into this wave with the right heart, you will not only witness what I am doing, you will become a living part of it. And as that wave rises, the world will not merely hear of me through words, but will see me through your life and through those who walk with you. That is the purpose, not that your name would be known, but that my glory would be revealed. And within that glory, you will come to realize that everything I have spoken is not merely words, but a living reality at work within you. My beloved child, as I close one season of refining and open before you a faster rhythm, I do not give you speed as a reward for pride, but as a responsibility to carry. Acceleration is not given so that you may reach the end alone more quickly. but so that you may become a pathway for many to walk. For if you arrive while those I have placed around you remain behind, then you have not yet understood my full intention. As it is written, "Go and make disciples of all nations," Matthew 28:19. So every step you take carries an invitation for others to move forward with you. Remember this, my child, when I lift you up, it is not so that you may stand higher, but so that you may see farther and reach farther. When you are elevated, do not forget to raise others with you. When grace is given to you, do not hold it as your own, but release it like living water. When a door is opened before you, do not close it behind you, but keep it wide for the footsteps that follow. As it is written, "Freely you have received, freely give," Matthew 10:8. For what you receive is not only for you, but meant to flow through you. Look at the story of Joseph, whom I raised from the pit to a place of authority. When he was positioned in Egypt, he did not use his power to exalt himself, but to preserve many lives during the famine. He himself declared, "God sent me ahead of you to preserve life," Genesis 45:5. Do you see? His elevation was not a personal reward, but a collective mission. And because he understood this, my glory manifested through his life reached across generations. Therefore, do not measure success by how quickly you advance, but by how many are lifted as you walk forward. The acceleration I give you is not so that you may move away from others, but so that you may lead them within my flow. As it is written, "We are members of one another," Ephesians 4:25. You cannot separate yourself from the body and still fulfill what I have entrusted to you. When you move forward, the body must move with you. When you receive increase, the body must be nourished as well. My beloved, keep your heart in humility as you begin to see doors opening more quickly, opportunities coming in greater measure, and your steps becoming lighter than before. Do not assume it is because you are sufficient in yourself, but remember that it is because I am working through you. And when I move, I always move with many in mind, not you alone. As it is written, "Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed," Proverbs 11:25. So when you become a source of blessing to others, you do not lose. You are filled all the more. Learn to live as a bridge, not as a destination. A bridge does not keep people for itself, but helps them cross over. When you become a bridge in my hands, you will see that your life does not only hold value for the present, but opens pathways for those you have never met. What you build today will become a foundation for others tomorrow. This is true glory, not that your name is remembered, but that through you, many come to recognize me. As it is written, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Matthew 5:16. Do you see? Your light is not meant to draw attention to you, but to direct it toward me. When you understand this, you will no longer seek recognition, but the revelation of me through your life. Therefore, my beloved, step into this season of acceleration with an open heart. Move swiftly, but do not walk alone. Receive abundantly, but do not withhold. Pass through the doors set before you, but do not close them behind you. For when you live in this way, you will not only complete your own journey, you will become part of a greater journey, where many are brought to the destination I have ordained. And in this, you will come to understand a profound truth. Glory is not found in being seen, but in me being revealed through you. When this becomes your reality, every speed, every blessing, every open door finds its true meaning. Then you will know that you are not merely running, you are leading, uplifting, and becoming a channel of the life I placed within you from the beginning. Now, My beloved child, as your heart has opened to my word and your steps begin to move beyond what is familiar into the current of unity, I invite you not only to understand with your mind, but to offer with your whole soul. Let your prayer become the bridge between what I have spoken and what you are living. So at this very moment, lift your heart not in strain, but in deep sincerity, like a stream returning to its source, and bring before me words that rise from the truest place within you. Almighty God, the one who has called me out of the darkness of isolation into the light of unity, I come before you not in perfection, but with a heart that longs to move in rhythm with you. I ask that you break within me every fear that causes me to withdraw, every unseen barrier that makes me hesitate to step into the connections you have prepared. Teach me to lay down my stubborn self, so that I may be joined into the greater work you are weaving. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. I choose to place my trust in you, that every step I take may no longer be limited by myself, but guided by your eternal purpose. Father of all grace, I also lift to you the relationships you are establishing around me. Help me to recognize the right people, the right timing, and the right role I am to step into. Remove from me all comparison and every need to prove myself, so that I may stand in humility and faithfulness to the portion you have given me. Let every connection you ordain not become a burden, but a resonance of light where what you have placed in me meets what you have placed in others, and together reveals your glory. As it is written, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Ephesians 4:2. Let me live in that spirit, so that every unity in my life is built upon the foundation of love. O you who lead me through every season, I ask that you grant me the courage to step beyond what is familiar when it no longer aligns with the path ahead. When I feel small before the great things you open, remind me that my strength does not lie in my own ability, but in walking with you and with those you have chosen. Keep me from retreating in fear and from advancing in pride, but teach me to walk in sacred balance, deep trust, and steady humility. As it is written, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. I trust that your strength will uphold me in every circumstance. O God of unity, I ask that you teach me to carry the burdens of others with an open heart. Remove from me every form of closeness that causes me to hold everything to myself, and grant me a spirit that is willing to share, to support, and to walk alongside others. Help me understand that when I bear burdens together with others, I am not diminished, but expanded within the strength of the spiritual community. As it is written, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. Let my life become a living testimony of that law, where love is expressed through tangible action. Loving Father, I also ask that you keep my heart watchful, so that I do not lose your rhythm as I step into this season of acceleration. Let me not be carried away by speed and forget the source, but remain anchored in your presence. When doors open and opportunities arise in abundance, keep me in peace and discernment, so that I may recognize what comes from you and what does not. As it is written, test all things, hold fast what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Grant me the wisdom not only to move quickly, but to move rightly. And now, O faithful one, my heart lifts to you in deep gratitude. I thank you for not leaving me in isolation, but for opening my eyes to see the value of unity. I thank you for the people you have placed in my life, those I may not fully understand, yet who are part of your greater plan. I recognize that every right connection is a gift, and I treasure it as part of the covenant you are unfolding. O God of every season, I also give thanks that you are leading me into a new rhythm, a rhythm no longer based on my own strength, but on companionship and unity. I thank you that the acceleration you give does not exhaust me, but lifts me up. It does not lead me astray, but draws me into the right current. As it is written, "The Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's feet. He enables me to stand on the heights." Habakkuk 3:19. I trust that you are placing me on higher ground, not for my exaltation, but so that I may see more clearly what you are doing. My beloved, as you lift these words to me, know that I hear not only with my ears, but with my heart. And as you continue to walk forward, carrying what you have prayed and given thanks for, you will see that prayer is not merely something you speak, but something you live. And within that life, I will reveal myself through you, with you, and beyond you, so that my glory may be seen on earth as it has been ordained in heaven. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely a listener, you are chosen to live in the presence of the Word each day. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you will not miss any sacred message. Amen. My beloved child, there are moments that are not announced by the noise of the world, yet are etched deeply into the soul as an undeniable summons. They are not outward upheavals your eyes can perceive, but the quiet shifting of the sacred realm, where I am awakening what has long lain dormant within you. As it is written, "Awake, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." Ephesians 5:14. Those words were not meant only for a distant age. They are resounding in this very hour, like a call piercing through the shell of comfort in which you have grown accustomed to resting. I see you not as you see yourself, confined within familiar rhythms, lulled by days that pass in seemingly gentle peace. Yet I tell you truthfully, not every silence is peace, and not every pause is rest. There is a stillness that merely veils stagnation, and a slowing that signals a soul that has not yet heard the call. Therefore, I do not come to preserve your sense of comfort, but to draw you out from where you have remained too long, not because that place was evil, but because it is no longer where you are meant to dwell. My child, it is time for you to understand that I do not move according to human clocks. The world measures time in days and months, but my rhythm is measured in life. With the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. 2 Peter 3:8. This means you cannot comprehend my movement if you insist on imposing your pace upon my ways. I am not calling you to run faster. I am calling you to listen more deeply. For in my kingdom, the one who travels farthest is not the one who hurries, but the one who knows how to walk at the appointed moment. Remember the story of the prophet Elijah. When he fled into the wilderness, believing all was lost, he sought me in the wind that tore through the mountains, in the earthquake that shook the ground, in the raging fire, yet I was not in those things. Then came a gentle whisper, a still small voice, and there I was. 1 Kings 19:11-12. Do you see? My child, I do not always arrive in what is loud or obvious. I come in subtleties discerned only by those who are truly awake. And today I am teaching you this not so that you will search for me in grand signs, but that you will become sensitive to the slightest movement of the Spirit. You have grown accustomed to living by what you can see, planning, measuring, predicting, but I am leading you into another kind of life, where guidance flows not from reason alone, but from communion. As it is written, "The righteous shall live by faith," Romans 1:17. And faith is not believing what you already understand, but walking in what you cannot yet see, yet know with certainty is true. When you learn to live in this way, you will no longer be governed by circumstance, but by my presence within you. There are those who run swiftly, yet arrive nowhere. There are those who speak at length, yet their words carry no life. There are those who accomplish much, yet their souls remain empty. Why is this so? Because they move without my rhythm. But you, I do not desire for you to live that way. I desire that every step you take carry life. Every word you speak carry power, and every action you perform reflect me. For in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. This is not a mere idea, but the reality into which I am calling you to step. Listen to me carefully. My beloved child, this season is not meant for slumber. I am breathing again upon flames and souls that seem nearly extinguished. I am calling forth those who once believed they had been left behind. No one is forgotten in me, yet there are those who have forgotten how to listen to me. And today I am restoring that in you. I am not awakening you merely to stand, but to walk not according to your own will, but according to my rhythm. You will sense this shift not with your eyes, but with your heart. Something will stir within you, not pressure, but invitation. Something will make you no longer satisfied with what once seemed enough. This is not discontent. It is the sign that you are being drawn into a new depth. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says. Revelation 2-7. For not all will hear, but those who open their hearts will recognize that this is a moment of transition. As you begin to move with that rhythm, you will discover something remarkable. You will no longer need to strain to produce results. When you walk in step, I myself will clear the path. When you speak at the appointed time, your words will carry weight. When you pause at the right moment, you will avoid what is unnecessary. This is life under guidance, not life under pressure. This is true freedom, not careless release. Therefore, my beloved, allow me to teach you again from the beginning, not how to do more, but how to hear more clearly, not how to run faster, but how to walk more rightly. Release the need to understand everything, and begin to trust that I am leading you, step by step. When you do this, you will no longer be swept along by the current, but will move in harmony with the current of heaven. Rise, my child, not in haste, but in awareness, not in fear, but in understanding, for I am moving, and you are invited to move with me. My beloved child, there are moments not defined by outward light, but by awakening within an opening of the eyes, not merely to observe, but to advance. This is not the hour for you to simply recognize what I speak. It is the hour to let it carry you into action. I do not seek those who accumulate knowledge alone, but souls who dare to turn what they receive into tangible steps. As it is written, be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. James 1:22. For a word not lived becomes a burden, but a word obeyed becomes a pathway. I know you have heard much, understood much, and felt much, but knowledge is not the destination. Revelation is not given for you to store away like a hidden treasure, but to flow through you as living water. When you receive yet do not move, you remain at the doorway instead of entering the room I have opened. But when you dare to act upon what you cannot yet fully see, you step into union with me, where every footstep declares that you trust me more than you trust your own understanding. The righteous shall live by faith. Hebrews 10:38. And that faith rests not in intellectual certainty, but in the soul's response. Remember the journey of Abraham, whom I called to leave familiar land, not with a detailed map, but with a simple command, go. He did not possess answers for everything, yet he held enough trust to take a step, and within each step I revealed the way before him. As it is written, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place he would later receive as an inheritance. and he went out not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. Do you see? My child, I did not require him to understand first. I required him to trust first. And through that trust, he became a bearer of covenant. In the same way, you now stand before a call that feels unfamiliar, an invitation to leave behind what you have held as security. I am not drawing you away to unsettle you, but to lead you into a deeper foundation where stability does not arise from circumstance, but from my presence within you. There are places that once gave you comfort yet have now become boundaries. Paths that once made your steps easy yet now restrain you from going farther. In the love of a father, I cannot allow you to remain where your destiny no longer fits. My beloved, true stability is not found in everything remaining unchanged, but in your ability to stand firm while everything is shifting. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Therefore, though the earth gives way, your heart need not tremble, for your foundation is not rooted in the ground beneath you, but in me. When you understand this, you will no longer cling to what is familiar simply because it feels safe, but you will release when I say release, and move when I say move. There is a story many overlook, yet I desire you to reflect upon it. When Peter was in the boat amid the storm and saw me walking on the water, he did not comprehend what he saw, but he recognized my voice. He said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. Matthew 14:28. I did not offer explanation. I simply said, come. When he stepped out of the boat, he stepped into the impossible, not because the water became solid, but because his faith connected with my word. Do you see? My child, the miracle did not begin when circumstances changed, but when he dared to leave the boat of familiarity and move toward my call. Now you stand at the edge of your own boat, a boundary between what you know and where I am leading you. I do not compel you to leap. I invite you to step, not in recklessness, but in trust, not because you understand everything, but because you recognize my voice. When you step, you will discover that what once intimidated you no longer holds power. For I am the one who sustains you. Therefore, my beloved, do not stop at feeling alone. Do not allow what I have spoken to become a beautiful memory without substance. Let it become action, decision, dirección. Revelation becomes alive only when it is walked out, and each step you take in obedience will unfold the next, until one day you look back and realize you are no longer living by what you understand, but by the one who is leading you. Rise, not to prove anything, but to respond to the call. Walk forward, not because you see everything clearly, but because you know that I am ahead of you. In each step, you will discover that what you once called instability is in truth a doorway into real firmness, a place where you no longer lean on what can change, but live in the one who never changes. My beloved child, when I touch your soul to awaken you, it is not the hand of judgment but the breath of liberation. I do not come to remind you of what you have done wrong, but to draw you out of the stagnation that quietly erodes your destiny. What causes many souls to halt is not lack of ability, but hesitation before the call. As it is written, watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. Matthew 26:41. That watchfulness is not only to avoid falling, but to avoid missing the appointed moment I have set for you to move. Listen deeply to this. Some fail, yet they learn and rise again. Others delay, and gradually lose even the desire to begin. Hesitation makes no noise, yet it silently steals opportunity, cools the inner fire, and makes stillness feel normal. I call you to rise not because you are weak, but because you were not created to remain in one place. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And you are in such a season now, a season of response, not of postponement. Do not ask me, when will I be ready? I do not measure readiness by your feelings, but by your trust. I do not seek perfection from you. I seek obedience. When I call, what I await is not your full comprehension, but your willingness to take a step. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. If you wait until you understand everything, you will never begin. But when you move, light will accompany your step. Remember Naaman, the powerful commander afflicted with leprosy. When he was told to wash in the Jordan 7 times, he hesitated because it did not align with his reasoning. He expected a grand miracle, a dramatic declaration. Yet his healing was not found in what he understood, but in what he obeyed. When he humbled himself and stepped into that simple river, again and again, healing came to him. 2 Kings 5. Do you see? The miracle did not arrive when his mind agreed, but when his action aligned with my word. Therefore, my beloved, I do not ask whether you feel certain. I ask whether you trust me enough to step. In my kingdom, movement precedes understanding. You will not see the entire road, but you will have sufficient light for the next step. As you walk, veils will lift one by one. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119-105. That lamp does not illuminate the whole journey at once, but it is enough to keep you from stumbling as you proceed. Awakening is not the accumulation of more information, but the release of what weighs you down. Release familiar fears. Release the need to control every outcome. Release even unnecessary questions. Only when you are unburdened can you travel far. As it is written, cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5-7. When you return to me the burdens that were never yours to carry, you will realize you no longer need to strain to move forward. The truly awakened are not those who strive to see a distant future, but those who discern what I am whispering in the present. They do not race at another's speed, nor are they swept away by the world's urgency. They listen, they perceive, and they step at the right moment. For in this season, my child, it is not the fastest who will go far, but those who hear rightly, who will be led. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. This is the key, not greater effort, but clearer recognition of my voice. Therefore, do not try to run ahead of me, nor lag behind me. Walk with me. When I pause, you pause. When I speak, you speak. When I open a door, you enter. Life is not defined by how much you accomplish, but by whom you walk beside. When you walk with me, even the smallest step becomes right, and the simplest act becomes filled with life. Rise, my child. You do not need to carry everything you think is necessary. Carry trust alone. As you step forward, you will realize that what you once feared losing was only a burden, while what you gain is freedom. I am not calling you to run under pressure, but to walk under guidance. In that guidance you will not lose your way, for I myself am your way. My beloved child, there are changes within you that may confuse you, as though what once burned brightly now seems quiet. Understand this: I am not removing your fire, I am refining it. You are not losing what is precious. You are being led into a deeper, pure flamme, one that not only warms you, but illuminates what I have placed within you. As it is written, our God is a consuming fire. Hebrews 12:29. Yet my fire does not destroy you, it burns away what is false, what is mixed in motive, so that what is pure may be revealed. Do not fear when you sense yourself changing. Within that change, you are drawing closer to the true identity I ordained for you. I have not called you merely to endure the passing of days, but to live with clear purpose, with a mission that cannot be postponed. The awakened are not called to return to the old, but to step into the new. Put on the new self, created to be like God, Ephesians 4:24. For you are no longer the former version of yourself. You are being reshaped, not by outward appearances, but by what I am forming within. My child, your greatest battle is not in circumstance, but in the mind. It is there that old voices attempt to restrain you, familiar fears, limits that once defined you, thoughts that cause you to doubt yourself. Yet remember, we demolish arguments and take every thought captive to obey Christ, 2 Corinthians 10:5. When you confront and overcome the fear within, you have already secured much of the victory, as you learn to discipline yourself not through pressure, but through guidance. You step into the fullness of that victory. Recall Joshua standing before Jericho, a fortress that seemed impossible to overcome. I did not instruct him to use conventional strategy or to fight in the way the world understands. I simply commanded him to march, to remain silent, and to obey. For many days nothing appeared to change. Yet when the appointed moment arrived, the walls fell not by human strength, but by complete obedience. Joshua 6. Do you see? Victory does not always arise from dramatic action, but from steadfast faithfulness to what I have spoken, even when results are not yet visible. Therefore, my beloved, awakening is not a fleeting emotion, but a state of readiness. It is the willingness to release what no longer fits, to rise from what once felt familiar, to move forward without possessing every answer. You cannot carry the promise I have placed upon your life while remaining in the bed of old habits, forgetting what is behind and reaching forward to what is ahead. Philippians 3:13. For your future is not found in your past, but in your response today. I am touching you not with noise, but with a gentle light that cannot be ignored. When you open the eyes of your soul, you will realize that everything is shifting. What you once thought was an ending is in truth a beginning, and the turns you once believed were mistakes are in fact new guidance. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. I am doing something new within you, and it does not require outward confirmation to be real. When you are truly awakened, it is not only you who knows, heaven itself recognizes it. Every soul that rises becomes a light kindled, and that light is not given to be hidden, but to be set high, shining for many. You are the light of the world, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket. Matthew 5:14-15. You are not called to shine for yourself alone, but to become a sign for a generation seeking the way. I do not wait for you to be perfect before I call you. I call you so that you may be transformed as you walk. When I say, go, it is not a heavy command, but a gracious invitation, an invitation to leave the old ground and step into the glory I have prepared. Each step you take in trust resounds as a yes in the spiritual realm, and each time you choose to move forward instead of retreating, you align yourself with the movement of heaven. Therefore, my beloved, step forward, not alone, but with the awareness that I am within you. As you move in the right direction, you will discover something profound. It is not only you advancing, but I working through you. He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. 1 John 4:4. In that union, you are no longer striving to attain something. You are revealing what I have already placed within you. Rise with the posture of one who has been awakened. Walk with the steadiness of one who knows they are not alone. In every movement, you will see that what I have begun in you will not cease. For I do not merely send you forward, I go with you, in you, and through you, until that light spreads far beyond yourself. My beloved child, once you have been awakened from former slumber, I do not call you to rush in haste, but to enter something deeper, learning to rely. If you awaken without clinging to me, you will soon grow weary. If you understand without resting in my guidance, you will easily break. Trust is not a surge of emotion in a single moment, but something forged over time through days without clear answers and nights without visible light. When you still choose to stand firm, as it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. This does not promise that you will always understand, but that you will always be led. I know there are moments when you feel suspended in a quiet space, where there are no clear signs, no resounding declarations, no confirmations like those you once knew. Yet it is in that silence that I work most deeply. When the external noise subsides, you begin to hear me not only with your ears, but with faith. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. It is precisely where you cannot see that your faith begins to grow. Remember the journey of David before he stepped into kingship. There were long years when he was pursued, misunderstood, and driven into desolate places. There was no throne, no recognition, only days that seemed filled with my silence. Yet in those very days I was building within him a foundation that no circumstance could shake. When he wrote, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Psalm 23:4. It was not the voice of a man untouched by darkness, but of a soul that had learned to stand in it without trembling. So it is with you, my beloved. Every soul called to carry light must pass through seasons where no clear light is seen. It is not because I have abandoned you, but because I am teaching you to become a source of light from within. True fire is not sustained by fleeting emotion, but by steadfast faithfulness. When you hold to trust on days without answers, you are building a faith that cannot be shaken by circumstance. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. Not only when vision is clear, but even when all remains hidden. There is another account you must remember. When the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea, they had no visible path, no strategy, no certainty. Before them was water, behind them an advancing army. I did not part the sea before they moved. I parted it as they dared to advance. When Moses lifted his staff in obedience, the waters divided, not because he understood everything, but because he believed. The people crossed on dry ground not because they saw the entire way beforehand, but because they followed my leading. Exodus 14. Do you see? The miracle does not precede faith, it follows it. Therefore, my child, when you find yourself in spaces you do not understand, do not assume you are directionless. In those spaces I am teaching you what no other place can teach, the art of trusting without visible proof. True faith begins the moment you say, though I do not see, I will step, though I do not understand. I will trust, though I lack answers. I will remain in your presence. Hold this within your heart. Trust does not weaken you, it strengthens you. It does not slow you, it steadies you. When you learn to rely on me in every circumstance, you will no longer fear silent days, for you will know that I am still at work. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not emptiness, but the place where your faith is formed. So, my beloved, do not rush simply because you have awakened. Stand firm. Anchor yourself in me, and let your heart learn to trust step by step. Then when you move, you will not move in confusion, but in steadiness. You no longer walk alone. You walk with me, the one who is never truly silent, who is always speaking, always leading, always holding you through every step. My beloved child, what I am doing within you is not a series of meaningless trials, but a process of forming stability that no circumstance can shake. I do not train you to exhaust or wound you, but to make you steadfast, able to stand even when winds arise. The wind does not come to overthrow you, but to teach you balance. As it is written, the wise man built his house on the rock, the rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew, yet it did not fall. Matthew 7:24-25. A firm foundation is not proven in calm weather, but in the storm. There are extended silences that cause you to wonder whether I am still there. Yet silence is not distance. It is a way I teach you to know me more deeply. When outward sound fades, you begin to perceive that my presence does not depend on dramatic declarations. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not void, but the place where I speak in a language that only faith can understand. Every trial you pass through is not a repetition of the same lesson, but a new layer of foundation being laid. You are not being brought back to an old point. You are being raised into a deeper dimension. Only those with deep foundations can sustain what I entrust to them over time. He who is faithful in little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. And in what seems small, I am cultivating within you the capacity to carry what is greater ahead. Remember Joseph, who endured long years in obscurity, sold, forgotten, imprisoned, yet not a single moment was wasted. Each circumstance did not weaken him, but deepened him. When the appointed time arrived, he was not only elevated, but strong enough to bear immense responsibility without collapsing under it. Do you see? I do not prepare you through what is easy, but through what compels you to cling to me more firmly than to yourself. When you learn to rely on me, you cease depending on your limited understanding. My beloved, trust is not something you possess fully from the beginning. It is forged through choices. It is like a spiritual muscle that grows only when exercised. Each time you choose trust instead of anxiety, you grow stronger. Each time you remain silent instead of complaining, you cultivate inner peace. Each time you stand firm instead of giving up, you reinforce your foundation. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God goes with you. Deuteronomy 31:6. These words are not merely to be heard, but to be lived. Do not interpret moments of weakness as failure. In those very moments, you are learning what those who have never faltered cannot understand, that true strength has a source beyond themselves. One who has never trembled does not know what it means to stand firm. When you rise after such moments, you are no longer who you were. You become one capable of carrying weight without breaking. Therefore, my beloved, do not regard what you are experiencing as punishment. I am not punishing you, I am refining you. I am preparing you to become trustworthy, not only in the sight of others, but within my kingdom. The one who can trust me fully is the one to whom I can entrust more. He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. And I see that faithfulness being formed within you. Step by step, hold this peace within your heart as you learn to rely on me. You will realize that peace no longer depends on what happens around you, but on who is leading you. When you know that I hold the helm, you will not fear the turns, nor worry about the stretches yet unseen. You do not walk alone, and you do not need to control everything. Continue to walk, my child, not under the pressure of proving anything, but in the rest of one who knows they are being led. In every step you will discover that I am not only teaching you to trust, I am shaping you into one who can stand firm, carry what I entrust, and go farther than you once believed possible. In every process through which I guide you, I am not only teaching you how to advance, but also the art of slowing down. In that slowing, the eyes of your soul are open to discern. When you are no longer swept along by the world's pace, you begin to see clearly what is true and what is merely appearance. As it is written, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him," Psalm 37. That waiting is not stagnation, but a posture of awareness, where you act not from pressure, but from guidance. The world urges you to hurry, to achieve, to arrive first. Yet, in my kingdom, the one who runs fastest is not the one who goes farthest. It is the one who walks in right rhythm. I am neither rushed nor delayed. I move in perfect timing. He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11, which means nothing I have promised blossoms before its appointed hour, like a seed buried in the soil, seeming as though nothing is happening. Life is forming in hiddenness. You may not see it, but I am at work. Remember Joseph's journey, the years of darkness and imprisonment that appeared to delay everything. Yet that time did not hinder his destiny. It shaped him to bear what was greater. When he was elevated, he possessed not only position, but the steadiness to sustain it. Time is not your adversary. It is a tool in my hands to form you. The days you think are nothing are often the days I am doing the most. When you say, "I do not know what to do," I am not leaving you in confusion. I am teaching you to listen. There are moments when action is not the answer, and silence is the path. My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me. John 10:27. But to hear, you must learn to pause. When you cease striving to manufacture direction, you begin to recognize that the direction has already been prepared by me. When you sigh and say, "I have no strength left," do not believe it is the end. In that moment, I am teaching you to lean on me instead of yourself. My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Your weariness does not diminish you. It creates space for my strength to be revealed through you. When you stop striving, you will realize that I have always been sustaining you. And when you say, "I cannot see the way," it is not proof that you are lost. I am teaching you to walk by faith. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. If you move only when you see clearly, you will be confined to what you understand. But when you trust my voice, even in the wilderness, you remain on the right path. Remember this account when the Israelites journeyed through the desert. They had no map and no visible route. They had only the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night, the sign of my presence. When the cloud moved, they moved. When it stopped, they stopped. They did not know their destination beforehand. Yet they were not lost, because they followed me. Exodus 13:21. True guidance does not require you to comprehend the entire journey, only to remain faithful in each step. Therefore, my beloved, the moments when you feel as though you have strayed are not failures. They are lessons I use to teach you to recognize my voice more clearly. Each time you return to me, you become more discerning. And in time, you will not only arrive where I have destined you to be, but you will arrive at the right place, at the right moment, as the person you have been prepared to become. True faith does not require a detailed map. It requires only one thing, a voice you recognize as mine. When you choose to trust that voice, you will never truly be lost, even if you are walking through the driest wilderness. For I am not merely the one who shows the way, I am the way for you. Keep your heart at peace in the slowing. My child, You are not being left behind. You are being formed. When the appointed time comes, you will step forward, not in haste, but in certainty, knowing that every moment you waited, every time you chose to trust, has led you to the place I ordained from the beginning. Understand that the process I place upon your life does not unfold only in great waves or obvious trials, but seeps deeply into the ordinary days that seem unremarkable. In those small moments when you choose kindness without recognition, when you complete a minor task with devotion, when you forgive though no apology is offered, I am quietly training your soul. As it is written, he who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. For what you do in hiddenness becomes the foundation for what you will later carry openly. Do not assume that faith is formed only under bright lights or on the heights of recognition. True faith is born in private rooms, where you persevere unseen and stand firm without applause. There I shape you not to become hardened, but to become gentle without weakness, steadfast without pride. I do not merely want you to hold the light, but to hold it with humility, so that it does not shine upon you, but through you. Whatever you do, work at it as for the Lord, not for men. Colossians 3:23. For when you live this way, you are no longer dependent on human approval, but anchored in mine. Remember the account of David when he was still a shepherd in the fields, unseen and unknown, facing lions and bears to protect his flock. There was no audience, no glory, only faithfulness. Yet in that hidden place I was preparing him for the day he would stand before Goliath. When he declared that I had delivered him from the claws of wild beasts, it was not boasting, but testimony born from unseen obedience. 1 Samuel 17. Public victory always begins with quiet faithfulness. So, my beloved, every time you do what is right without needing to be seen, heaven takes notice. Every step you take in faith, even when the path is unclear, is remembered. God is not unjust to forget your work. Hebrews 6:10. And nothing done in faithfulness is meaningless. Even the tears you hide and the decisions you make in silence become part of the preparation I am shaping within you. Do not fear the long days that seem to repeat themselves, for within them I am teaching you a rare art, the art of trusting gently, not trusting under pressure, but trusting in rest. Not trusting because you possess visible proof, but trusting because you know that I am unchanging. The Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and guard you. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. Therefore your trust does not rest on circumstance, but on my nature. There are moments when you think I am silent, yet one day you will look back and understand that I never ceased speaking. I speak through the quiet breezes you cannot explain. I speak through time itself, shaping you little by little. I speak by restraining you when you wish to move ahead, and by urging you forward when you wish to stop. As it was written of Elijah, I was not in the wind or the earthquake, but in the gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. I do not always speak loudly, but I always speak clearly enough for the listening heart. Therefore, my beloved, be at peace in this journey. I am never late. I arrive at the precise moment when your faith has matured enough to sustain what I am about to entrust to you. If I were to give it too soon, you would not be able to hold it. But when I give it in its appointed time, you will not lose it. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. And that includes what I am preparing for you now. Continue walking in quiet faithfulness. In the days unseen by others, it is there that you are becoming one who can carry light without being blinded by it. One who can stand firm without becoming rigid. When the day comes for you to step into greater visibility, you will not need to prove anything. Your life itself will speak. Trust me, my child, without striving to control, without clinging to what you fear to release. Open your heart and move forward. You will discover that everything I do is not only right, but perfect in a way only I can accomplish. My beloved, this is no longer a season for repeated questions within your heart, but a moment to rise and move. The days you waited were not delays. They were days in which I was compressing strength within you, so that when you move, you do not walk by your own effort, but by the momentum of accumulated glory. As it is written, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint." Isaiah 40:31. Your waiting has not weakened you, it has deepened you, so that now you can walk without breaking along the way. Understand this clearly in your soul. I do not send you out as one lacking, but as one refined by fire. What you once considered loss has become material for your new steps. What once slowed you now propels you forward. You are no longer one pleading from afar, but one who carries authority entrusted within. I have given you authority, Luke 10:19. That authority is not for self-exaltation, but to operate within my order to bring light into darkness and life into what has grown dry. But my child, engrave this within you. Glory does not come to make you prominent, but to reveal me through you. When your heart remains pure, the light will not be distorted. When your spirit remains humble, glory will not cause you to drift. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. Humility is not weakness, but armor that protects you when you carry something greater than yourself. Remember Moses, who led the people out of Egypt, not by his own strength, but through humility and dependence upon me. When he stood before the sea, he did not act in haste, but according to my word. When he lifted his hand in obedience, the waters parted. Exodus 14. Power does not flow from doing much, but from doing precisely what I say. To live that way, your heart must remain attentive. In this season, you are not led by noise, but by the frequency of the Spirit. Not every opportunity is a door I open, and not every invitation is a commission. Therefore, in every decision, you must learn discernment. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. Peace is not merely a feeling, but a governing sign that you are aligned with my direction. The doors I open lead you into peace, even when what lies ahead is significant. Your heart remains steady. Doors opened by human ambition, however, draw you into noise and distraction, compelling you to run without clarity. When many invitations come, do not respond in haste. Pause and ask, which voice is calling me? The voice of ambition, or the voice of guidance? The one who is sent does not move because of opportunity, but because of command. My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me. John 10:27. You do not need to chase every direction, only the right voice. I am placing before you doors you have never seen before, doors of influence, where your words carry life, doors of chosen relationships, where you are not striving to be accepted, doors of expansion, where you are no longer confined by what once held you back. Yet you must step with wisdom. For the prudent see danger and take refuge. Proverbs 22:3. Wisdom teaches you when to advance, when to pause, when to speak, and when to remain silent. Where humility is armor and wisdom as your instrument. Do not seek reputation, seek alignment with my intention. Do not pursue crowds, pursue where I am working. With every step, ask yourself, does this reflect the light? If it does, move forward with courage. If it does not, withdraw in peace. Those who walk in light do not need to prove themselves. The light reveals itself. My beloved child, this is the hour of commissioning. It is no longer the time to stand outside observing, but to step in and operate. As you walk in, my guidance, you will realize something profound. You are not merely carrying out a mission. I am expressing myself through you. In that place, all glory belongs to me, yet joy overflows within you. Guard the eyes of your soul in purity. For vision is not only what you see, but how you are led. If your eye is clear, you will not lose your way among what appears right but does not belong to you. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is sound, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:22. When your vision remains pure, you not only discern the path you walk within, my light. Keep your ears keen, for your direction does not come from what is loud, but from the gentle yet precise voice that speaks within. My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me. John 10:27. What you need is not to hear many voices, but to recognize the right one. When you can discern my sound among countless invitations, you will not be swept away by what is appealing, yet not aligned with your destiny. Guard your heart in softness, for it is there that I touch and guide you. A hardened heart cannot sense the subtle movements of the Spirit, but a tender heart responds even to a whisper. I will give you a new heart and remove the heart of stone. Ezekiel 36:26. For only when your heart is living can you follow the life I am pouring forth. When you see others rushing ahead, do not let their pace disturb you. You are not called to move quickly, but to move rightly. When others strive to prove their worth, let the fruit speak for you. What comes from me does not require your defense. It stands firm on its own. Be still before the Lord. Psalm 37:7. Not so that you remain inactive, but so that you are not drawn into movements that are not yours to make. Remember Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus while Martha busied herself with service. I said that Mary had chosen the better portion. Luke 10:41-42. Not because action is wrong, but because action that does not arise from listening leads to exhaustion. True leadership does not begin with doing more, but with kneeling first. It is in humility that you are lifted rightly. I have not called you to compete within the crowd, but to become light for those seeking the way. To do this, you do not need to force yourself ahead. You need to align with me. True breakthrough is not acceleration, but synchronization with heaven. When you walk in step with my design, all things fall into place. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. Matthew 6:33. Not because you seize them, but because you stand in the right position. You do not need to contend for what I have appointed. You do not need to manufacture what I have prepared. When you keep the right rhythm, I will add strength when you are weak, add people when you need them, and add signs when you step forward. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. Zechariah 4:6. What you are entering does not depend on your ability, but on your union with me. Remember this, my beloved, when your will aligns with my flow, nothing can hinder you, not because you are strong, but because you are aligned. When you move rightly, every necessary door will open, every needed person will come, and every provision will arrive in its time. So walk in peace, without haste. Keep pace with me, without striving to outrun. In every step, you will discover that you are not only advancing, you are becoming the one I ordained from the beginning. A guide not by your own strength, but by the light I have placed within you. My beloved child, pause for a moment, not to retreat, but to absorb. Let what I have spoken not merely pass through your mind, but dissolve into your breath and settle into the deepest place of your soul. Do not rush to grasp it, nor strain to hold it by your own effort. What comes from me does not require you to tighten your grip. It takes root naturally when you are still before me. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. For in that stillness you begin to see that my words are not scattered fragments, but a single, flowing current forming within you. What I have taught you about awakening, about refinement, and about commissioning are not separate paths, but three movements of the same life. When you are awakened, you recognize the call. When you are refined, you become steady enough to carry what you have received. When you are sent, you enter the full expression of purpose. They weave together like sacred music, not for you to analyze, but to inhabit. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. Even the chapters you once thought disconnected are now joining into a complete design. You stand at a threshold. Not everyone can perceive the boundary between what has been and what is coming. Behind you are days when I taught you through tears, through unanswered questions, through nights when you felt alone, yet not a single tear fell unnoticed. You have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Everything you endured has not been forgotten, but is becoming the foundation for what lies ahead. And before you, there are no longer endless why questions, but the assurance that you are chosen, called, and led not because of your own merit, but because my hand rests upon your life. Remember Joseph, from dream to pit, from pit to prison, and from prison to authority. What he once thought lost became the path to fulfillment. When he finally stood where I had appointed him, he no longer asked why it had happened, but recognized God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. What you have walked through was not to break you, but to shape you. You no longer need to seek proof that I am with you. Your very existence, the fact that you still stand today, is testimony enough. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Matthew 28:20. This promise does not fluctuate with your emotions, nor waver with circumstance. It is the unshakable ground beneath your feet, whether you perceive it or not. Therefore, my beloved, cease striving to prove yourself. Light does not defend itself, it simply shines. When you live faithfully in what I have placed within you, your life will speak on its own. I do not seek flawless perfection in you. I seek unveiled authenticity. The Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. What I value is not outward strength, but quiet steadfastness within. You do not need to become like another to walk in what I have prepared for you. You need only keep my rhythm within your own journey. Some move quickly, others slowly, but the one who walks in right rhythm always arrives at the right place. When you move in that rhythm, you will not be exhausted, for you are not running by your own strength, but carried by my current. Let your heart rest in this truth. You are no longer in a season of preparation. You are in transition. Yet, even as you step into what is new, I remain the one who walked with you through what was old. There is no rupture between seasons, only continuation. And you are the living witness of that continuity. So, my beloved, breathe deeply and receive what I have placed within you. There is no need for haste, no need for strain. Remain in me and allow me to move through you. As you step forward from this place, you will not move as one still searching, but as one who has recognized that I am in you and you are in me. There is where every journey finds its completion. From this moment on, walk not as one carried aimlessly by the currents of life, but as one who carries the breath of heaven within. Do not diminish what appears small, for when my hand rests upon your life, every action, even the simplest, bears eternal weight. When you speak with awareness that your words do not vanish in a moment, but leave an imprint in the unseen realm. The tongue has the power of life and death, Proverbs 18:21. Each word you utter is no longer mere sound, but seed sown into reality. When you love with your whole soul without withholding, without calculation, without reserve, not because you are assured of return, but because love is my nature placed within you. Love one another earnestly, 1 Peter 1:22. True love does not wait for perfect conditions, but expresses itself in the present. And when you forgive as one who understands that you yourself are being released. Forgiveness does not first lighten another, it frees your own soul from what is past. Forgive as God in Christ forgave you, Ephesians 4:32. You cannot rise high while carrying burdens that are not yours to bear. Remember this, my child, from now on, nothing is insignificant, not because the tasks have changed, but because you have changed. One who is called no longer lives in ordinary awareness, for they carry a new consciousness within. When you perform a small act with a commissioned heart, it becomes sacred. When you walk in faithfulness, each step becomes my imprint upon the earth. Whatever you do it as unto the Lord, Colossians 3:23. When you live this way, you no longer divide life into sacred and secular. Everything becomes a place of my presence. There will be moments when silence settles again, like a gentle veil over your soul. Do not fear it. Silence is not distance. It is the deepest form of my presence. Some truths cannot be spoken in words, only sensed in communion. Just as Elijah discovered that I was not in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in the still small whisper, 1 Kings 19:12. So you are being trained to recognize me in subtler ways. In that silence, I am speaking through the rhythm of your heartbeat, through your breath, through subtle signs that only the trained discern. There you no longer search with your eyes, but perceive with your spirit. When you remain still within that place, you will not feel lacking, but complete, for I am very near. Rest in this truth. Your training is not finished, yet it no longer weighs upon you as before. You are no longer being dragged, you are being lifted. You have learned to trust, learned to listen, learned to walk, and now you are learning to soar. Those who wait upon the Lord shall mount up with wings like eagles, Isaiah 40:31. When you cease relying on your own strength, you are carried by the wind of the Spirit. What once pressed heavily upon you no longer holds the same power. It may not have disappeared, but it no longer drags you down. It becomes the very current that lifts you higher. Trials that once caused you to hesitate now form the ground of your steadiness. You will recognize that what once frightened you has been transformed into part of the journey shaped by my hand. Therefore, my beloved, continue forward gently yet firmly, without strain, yet fully aware, without haste, yet no longer hesitant. You are no longer merely learning to stand, you are learning to fly. And as you rise under my guidance, you will not look downward in fear, but outward in freedom. I am with you not only when you are strong, but when you are still, not only when you act, but when you rest. In all things you will see that I am not merely teaching you how to live, I am leading you into a life abundant, where every breath, every step, every choice reflects me. Hear this with your whole soul. I have repositioned you not only in the unseen realm, but within the very flow of time and place where you stand. This is not random change, but precise arrangement. I did not draw you out of the old to leave you displaced, but to bring you into the exact coordinates of the mission I ordained from the beginning. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16:9. Every step you take, whether you perceive it or not, lies within my guidance. Do not measure your journey by visible outcomes. In my kingdom, worth is not weighed by achievement, but by the depth of obedience. There are steps you take that no one sees, yet to me they are great victories. To obey is better than sacrifice. 1 Samuel 15:22. Each time you choose to follow my word, even in something small, you triumph. Faithfulness does not merely preserve what you have, it elevates you into greater trust. When you stand firm in what once made you tremble, you enter breakthrough not born of your strength, but of my choosing upon your life. Remember David, not when he stood before Goliath did I first begin to use him, but in the quiet days in the fields, tending sheep, playing his harp, remaining faithful in the smallest things. When he faced the giant, he did not become someone new. He stepped forward as the one already formed in hiddenness. Victory came not because he was stronger, but because he trusted me more than he feared. 1 Samuel 17. What once caused you to tremble is no longer a barrier. It has become the foundation of your strength. Therefore, my beloved, rise. Wipe away the tears of the past, not because they were meaningless, but because they have fulfilled their purpose. Lift your head, not in pride, but in the awareness that you are no longer who you once were. Be strong, and let your heart take courage. All you who wait for the Lord, Psalm 31-24. For you do not walk alone. I am present in every step you take. The fears that once restrained you no longer carry the same authority. They have not vanished entirely, but they have been transformed. What once held you back now becomes fuel, pressing you forward instead of pulling you behind. In facing and overcoming them, you have not merely escaped, you have been strengthened through them. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. And that spirit is active within you even now. You are no longer simply learning how to believe. You are becoming one who carries faith to others. As you walk, you do not live for yourself alone. You become a signpost for other souls to see and recognize that I am real. Abraham was called the father of faith not because he was flawless, but because he believed and stepped forward. Romans 4. In the same way, you are being shaped into a source of influence, not through grand declarations, but through a life faithfully lived. I did not call you to stand at the margins, observing and reacting to the world. I called you to participate in writing a new chapter of spiritual history. Yet you do not write with ink or paper. You write with decisions, with choices, with steps taken in obedience. Every time you choose light over darkness, a line is written. Every time you choose faith over fear, another page unfolds. Every time you remain faithful when unseen, you establish a legacy for those who will follow. Remember this: the most powerful testimony is not what you say, but what you live. You are our letter, written not with ink but with the Spirit of the living God. 2 Corinthians 3-3. You are that letter, a living testimony that this generation and the next will read. So walk forward, not in hesitation, but in conviction, not in striving to prove yourself, but in union. I have positioned you in the right place, at the right time, for the right purpose. As you move within that alignment, you will see that you are not merely living your life, you are expressing my story through it. Do not see yourself as one waiting for a miracle to happen. I am leading you into a higher reality where you become the instrument through which miracles are revealed. I placed light within you, not to be hidden, but for you to embody it. Walk as children of light, Ephesians 5-8. Let every step and every decision reflect my nature within you. As you depart from this moment, hold this deeply. You never walk alone. No word I have spoken over your life is left behind. Each one moves with you, like a current sustaining your steps. He will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. Even when unseen, you are surrounded, guided, and protected. And not only protected, the glory I have promised is advancing toward you, following every step you take in obedience. Remember Joshua as he led the people across the Jordan. The waters did not part before they stepped in, but when their feet touched the river, the way opened. Joshua 3. Breakthrough does not begin when everything appears ready. It begins when you step forward in trust. And as you step, you will discover that I have long gone before you, every place you arrive. I am already there, waiting to bring you into what has been prepared. I am not only the one who sends you, I am the one who goes with you, dwells within you, and works through you. When your journey closes one day, you will not see me merely at the destination. You will realize I was present in every moment, every decision, every step you took. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Matthew 28:20. This is not a distant promise. It is the reality you are living. So, my beloved, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and become aware, not with your senses, but with your spirit. The wind of the Spirit surrounds you, not loudly, yet strong enough to lift you. Let your heartbeat align with heaven's rhythm, where there is no haste, only precision. In that alignment, you will no longer walk according to your own will, but according to my current. When your lips softly say, yes, it is not a simple reply. It is a doorway opening between you and glory. It is the moment heaven responds, not with noise, but with a deep confirmation. The time has come. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door. Revelation 3:20, and you have opened. Therefore, walk forward. My child, no need to look back. No need to compare. No need to hesitate. You are no longer standing on the sidelines. You are in the flow. And as you move, you will see that everything I have spoken is not merely words. It is becoming life through you. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely an audience member. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss any sacred messages. Amen.